Canada has agreed to allow access for New Zealand dairy products following a long-running trade dispute. Dairy exporters have been blocked from the Canadian market despite the move being in breach of the CPTPP trade agreement. The Trade Minister Todd McClay says Canada has committed to making changes to its dairy quotas, which will deliver up to $157 million to New Zealand dairy exporters. New Zealand initiated formal dispute settlement proceedings in 2022. A dispute panel found in New Zealand's favour, but Canada failed to fully comply with the panel's ruling.
Lessons from the Cyclone Gabrielle recovery effort are being shared with authorities in the flood-hit Tasman district. Hawke's Bay set up a task force to remove and manage swathes of silt, debris and waste following the fatal storm in February 2023. Workers moved 2.5 million cubic metres of silt, 1 million cubic metres of woody debris, and returned around 7,000 hectares of land to productivity. They also sorted through 12,500 broken orchard and vineyard posts. The task force's lead, Darren de Klerk, says they broke the bay up into 6 zones, triaged properties by severity, and then mapped out sorting and disposal sites, all to chomp the elephant one bit at a time.
For us, one of the biggest probably learnings is just how you manage your contractor army. So having a standby list of contractors available, so you're not having to kind of work through the procurement and contracting of suppliers in the heat of kind of the recovery phase. So, my thoughts are with them and they'll be trying their absolute best.
Darren de Klerk says the work had to be methodical and communication with locals is vital. He says they managed to send only 100,000 tonnes of material to landfill.
An improving rural economy has helped the Livestock Improvement Corporation post an improved result. The artificial breeding and herd testing company bottom line profit for the year ended May was $30.6 million, compared to last year's $7.7 million, due to a bad batch of bull semen and weaker economic conditions. Its total revenue was up 10% to $295.1 million as farmer owners invested more into their herds. Prices for New Zealand's butter and cheese are at record highs, but the country's main export of milk powder hasn't risen to match. Figures out this week show the overall cost of food has risen 4.6% from last year, largely because of dairy products. Federated Farmers Dairy Chairman Carl Dean says overseas production of butter and cheese hasn't risen to meet demand, which is good news for New Zealand farmers.
The sudden departure of the manager of Molesworth Station is raising questions about the future of New Zealand's largest farm. Jim Ward has spent 24 years farming sheep and beef on the stretch of Marlborough High Country, which spans about 180,000 hectares. Molesworth is owned by the Crown, managed by DOC and leased to Pāmu, formerly Landcorp. RNZ understands Mr Ward has become increasingly frustrated about the lack of support to stop the spread of wilding pines there. He's not commenting on his departure, but here's South Canterbury farmer Matt Simpson, who's a friend of Mr Ward's.
It's a real shame that we've lost a hell of a good advocate for high country and what have you, through Jim and Tracy. They've trained a lot of people as well with all the staff that have been through there. It's kind of being used as a kind of a test farm for the Crown to sort of see how things are going in the high country and how you can experiment in bits and pieces. But, there's a hell of a lot of knowledge that's walk out the gate with Jim Ward.
The Department of Conservation says it's currently working through future options for farming on the station, but it will continue to be an important part of the huge reserve that also has a range of threatened plants and animals. The farming lease is due to expire in the middle of next year.
The country's water regulator has warned of health risks from unsafe drinking water in rural homes and schools with private supplies. A recent Taumata Arowai report looked at more than 1,500 drinking water supplies in New Zealand, 17% of which are privately or community run. It warns rural communities, especially school children, face more E. coli and nitrate contamination in their drinking water than urban areas. Around 71 schools reported at least one instance of excessive E. coli levels in drinking water, down from 81 in 2023.
And finally, Australia's been declared free of highly pathogenic avian influenza in its poultry. As of the 13th of June, the disease has been eradicated from all affected farms and properties, and movement restrictions have been lifted. Here in New Zealand, the Ministry for Primary Industries is recommending cattle farmers keep stock well away from ducks on the farm due to the risk of the disease spilling over from poultry to dairy cows. Faeces from mallard ducks are believed to be a key source of H5N1 infections in dairy cows in the United States. MPI says while farming systems are different here, it recommends farmers carry out strict biosecurity measures to avoid contamination. And that's it from the Rural News Desk.